Hi, Charlie Thorburn here from Mordor Gun Dogs. This week we're going to do a video called How to Walk Your Dog. Now, we've done a video before called Don't Walk Your Dog, and it got lots and lots of views. So we're going to do something with little Waffle here. Just, forget all the training and the sort of formal gun dog stuff. Like, how do we just take our dog out for a walk, but a constructive, productive walk, not just Forrest Gump taking off into the hills, running, doing something that's good fun for you, good fun for the dog, but still useful. Now we'll just go over Waffle quickly. Waffle's a 1-year-old Cocker Spaniel we've been following since he was a young baby. We bred him here, and he's going to leave here in about 5-6 months' time as a fully trained gun dog. But he's also going to be a family dog with kids and a lovely home in Connecticut in America. So where is he at now? As soon as he comes out the kennels, he just sits down automatically. And he just sits there and looks at me, waits for me to pop the lead on, or waits for me to tell him to walk to heel. I pop the lead on, he's walking to heel really nice. He's sitting and staying. He's coming when he's called, he's staying nice and close. So we're really ready to start pushing him in all directions. From the working dog direction, we're ready for finding the odd game, the odd hare, the odd pheasant, that kind of thing. It's spring, so there's a bit of new life kicking around. We've seen quite a lot of hares recently, so hopefully we'll come across them. We do have the problem the grass is pretty long, so sometimes it's harder to find interesting things for them. But even if we see something go, we can at least get them close to it so they get the smell of it, because the smell of fresh game, a roe deer getting up or a pheasant or anything else, gets them going and really gets their sort of sense of smell and their nose working and kicks them into another gear. And the important thing about kicking them into that gear at this point is we're starting to test them. We're starting to see whether we really actually have control. Because it's all well and good being on a mown lawn, within your garden or somewhere, but it's much harder to do it, in the big wide world. So when we start taking a dog for a walk, we've always still got to do all the basic obedience, the walking to heel and the sitting, the waiting at the gate, waiting while the lead comes off. But what we're going to do is we're going to go for a little walk around one of our tracks, around one of our fields, and just show the level of on the lead, off the lead, and how we go about managing it. Now, while I'm sitting here with Waffle, his mum is just literally behind the camera, sniffing at the ground. He's got the job of sitting here while his mum's just cruising around doing her own thing. And she's not on a lead, she's just cruising around. She's one of our, very much one of our family dogs, house dogs. Waffle's still in training, so he's not allowed the level of freedom that she's allowed. But it's a really good little test for him. He's come straight out of the kennels, and his mum's, no, that's enough. He's come straight out of the kennels, and his mum's just here. She's chewing the grass. She's running around with Freddie, her owner, my son, and Waffle's just gonna go. I'd love to be doing that too, but I'm on a lead, I'm with Dad. It just isn't what's happening at the moment. So people often go, oh, that's not fair, and that's teasing them, and and again, I'm going to use kid comparisons. So sometimes my older son says to me, oh, it's not fair. Jack, his little brother, gets away with murder. He doesn't have to clear the dining room table. I'm like, well, no, because he's 3.5. If he clears the dining room table, all the plates are going to end up smashed all over the floor. It's going to be slightly counterproductive. But the older one goes, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I was like, yeah, but you also have an air rifle, which Jack's not allowed to use. You get to drive the 4-wheel motorbike, which Jack's not allowed to use. You get to shoot clay pigeons, which Jack's not allowed to use. You've got a dog, which Jack doesn't have. So there's all these things that the older one gets to do, but to get to do them, he also has to take on some responsibility. And that's exactly the same with dogs. So Sausage is allowed to cruise around off the lead, just sniffing around, because I know she's not going to do anything wrong. I know she's not going to run off after a roe deer. I know she's not going to chase the ducks. She's earned that right. She's earned that place to be free and to be allowed to do that. I'm going to repeat a quote that I used before, which is a year on the lead leads to 10 years off the lead. Sausage has done her year on the lead. She's done her hard level training. She's really reliable. She'll sit on the back of the buggy. She'll sit in a boat. She'll sit in the back of the car. She'll go to the pub. She'll run around with the kids on the beach or in the garden or anything else. And she won't cause any of us any grief. We're getting there with Waffle. We're heading in that direction, but we're just not quite there yet. If I allow him free rein on all these fun things, it would kind of be like allowing one of my kids free rein to do something that they haven't really been taught or haven't really gained my trust to do yet. To go for the next level up from the point of view of a kid might be, driving a machine on their own or driving a tractor with a baler on the back or something like that. That's not going to happen for a while. But maybe when they're 15, 16, that is going to happen. So we're just building them up, and it's exactly the same with dogs. So we start off, we come out the kennel, he sits, he waits, he walks to heel, and then we head off on our walk. Heel. Freddie, I'm going for a walk around the field if you want to come. Sit. Sit. So we've come down the hill, we've come through the gate. As we've come through the gate, Freddie and I have gone through first. Waffles had to wait, and he comes just behind me. He's on the lead, so he's not waiting there, but he's just hanging slightly back, allowing us to go through first. Then we come through the gate, and we asked him to sit. Well, we closed the gate, he didn't sit, so I instantly pushed him down. Now, if on the way down here, Waffle had been a pain in the backside, I would then do more obedience and more control. If on the way down here he's really good, I would go, right, well, you've been really good. I've got a few ticks. I've got a sitting tick, a heeling tick, a manners tick. So we're going to allow you to have a bit of a run. You can't have a plan. You can't be going out for a walk with a big plan of like where you're going to go and what you're going to do. You can have a vague plan, but you've got to adjust it all the time, depending on what the circumstances are. Because I could get into this field and find there was 10 other people in here playing football, and then I'd be like, well, this maybe isn't conducive to taking my young dog out because he might run off and play football. Or I might go, well, they're playing football over there, so I'm going to stay over here. In our case, it'd be more a case of, oh, there's some pheasants and a roe deer over there. I can see one in the distance. So I'm going to walk this way around the field. But you have to just adjust to what suits you at the time. So Waffle's been a pretty good little boy coming down here, so I'm going to let him off. Now, when I take the lead off, it's really important the lead comes off, he pauses. If there's any indication that he's not going to wait, then the lead goes back on again. Sit. So lead on, off, maybe put it back on again, take it off again, put it on again, pause, take it off, pause, Waffle, off you go. And then we go for our walk. Oh, Fred. Come on then, Waffle. So Waffle's having a pee. He's going to run along a little bit with Freddie and me. Who's better on the whistle, Freddie or Waffle? Good boy. Off you go. Now, Waffle here. Just going to pop him back on the lead just while I talk about something again. Sit. Because we've let him off, that doesn't mean just, right, off you go, Waffle, I'll see you in half an hour. That means, right, what's the next stage of training? The next stage of training is recall. With a young dog, as soon as we start going for a walk, they're like a yo-yo. They're out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. We want them to stay close to us, stay in contact with us. We don't want them just tanking off up the path, doing precisely what they want and disappearing into the distance. So he goes out so far, I recall him back. He goes out so far, I recall him back. The better his recall is, the more I allow him, the more time I allow him to be away from me. The worse his recall is, the more I call him back, let him go, call him back, let him go, call him back. Really important thing to do is, with a dog of the right level of training, this isn't for every dog, this isn't for a dog that doesn't do a bloody thing it's told, for a dog at the right level of training, if a dog doesn't listen when you recall them, don't just put them on a lead and go home, because they're not going to learn to get any better. If they don't listen when you're doing recall, you've got to practice it, you've got to do more of it. And that might be, instead of letting them go into the big wide field, we might let them go that way, because back that way, this field sort of funnels in to the gate. So it kind of creates a natural funnel. So if Waffle went too far ahead that way, he's only going to go as far as the gate, and he's going to slightly naturally bounce off the gate. And then he's going to be like, right, I can't go any further. Oh, my next other option is just to go back to Dad. So that's going to help me, but we've just got to assess that as we go on. So when I'm training some of other people's dogs, sometimes I'll come into this field, I'll walk them around at heel, and then I'll let them go back towards the gate, which is back home, and back to these sort of exciting places of home. I won't just let them off into this field, which is, you know, immediately here is about 15 acres, and then, there's no fence. It extends right up the hill, and the whole thing's about 100 acres. The fence into the woods pretty shot. It doesn't really work anymore for livestock, certainly not dogs. And that's another 100 acres of wood with, you know, all sorts of exciting things: roe deer, foxes, pheasants, pigeons, etc. in it. So there's a huge, massive space here where if a dog just decides to go, they're going to go, and there's nothing I can do to stop them. So we've got to manage that, and we've got to think. We've always got to be thinking on the front foot, and we've always slightly got to be thinking the worst. And I say to people, if you think the worst, you get the best. So if we come into this field thinking, if I let the dog go up there, he might run off, so I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to let him go back towards the fence, back towards the gate. But with a little dog like Waffle, I'm pretty confident we can let him have a little bit of a run around. Off you go, Waffle. I'm not going to push him away. I'm not going to force him to go off into the undergrowth. If he wants to be calm and just come for a nice calm walk with me, big thumbs up to me. We've nailed it. Waffle's doing what we want him to do. So I've not asked Waffle to heel. He's just naturally wanting to walk to heel. Good boy. Good boy. So I'm not forcing him to be somewhere he wants to be. I'm just allowing him to be a little bit free. He loves Ian. I'm just allowing him to be a little bit free and just hang around with us. But this is what walking a dog's all about. So I peep him back on the whistle, whether he's 40, 50 yards away or 4 or 5 yards away, he should come back with the same enthusiasm. Now we've done maybe 150 meters, 200 meters off the lead of just free running. So we're now going to just pop him on the lead and just do a little bit of walking to heel on the lead. Heel. So I've done on the lead to the gate, sitting patiently, taking the lead off. I've done off the lead and recall. Then I've done a little bit more on the lead. Now I'm going to do some off the lead heel, asking him to sit. He's been very responsive and very polite mannered. So good boy, off you go, Waffle. Go on, off you go. So now I'm going to let him go again. So on the lead, off the lead, on the lead, off the lead, walking to heel on the lead, walking to heel off the lead. We're basically going for a walk, but we're encompassing all the training that we've done to date with Waffle. The only thing I haven't done so far is a retrieve. Might I do a retrieve? Yeah, I might do. I might not. I don't want to necessarily do a retrieve every time I go out with him. I might want to save up his retrieves for tomorrow and do a bit more intensive retrieving training, because we've had a nice jolly outing today, you know, a very relaxed kind of informal training session. So the maybe tomorrow might be a bit more about whistles, sitting on the whistle, etc. But we're just trying to encompass all the things that he's learnt in a relaxed kind of walking environment without it going wrong. Now, we're always on the lookout for problems. Now we've come up here, there's a fence to our side. Suddenly the fence disappears. We're getting close to the gorse where there might be a rabbit or a pheasant or roe deer or something. So we're always sort of thinking, you know, when we get close to somewhere where it could really go wrong, I need to be on my tippy toes. I need to be ready for him to fail. Because if I always think the worst, I'll get the best. If I walk up here thinking, oh, it's Waffle, he's fine. Suddenly I blink and he's in the undergrowth chasing something. Whereas if I walk up here going, he's Waffle, he's pretty good, but he's a cocker and he's one and he can be naughty. So this is probably, you know, a danger zone for him, so it's likely to go wrong. So we need to be aware of that. Come on then, off you go. Good boy, good boy. So there's a couple of things I'm going to add in here. Waffle, come here. I'm just calling him back to put him on a lead, because while I'm talking to you again, I'm just thinking about the worst. I'm thinking, Waffle, Waffle, come here. Hey, Waffle, come here. I'm thinking he's been really good, so why tempt fate? Okay, it's pretty exciting around here. There's always pheasants and stuff. So while I'm talking to you, I'm just going to pop him back on the lead. So that's the sort of thing that you guys want to be thinking about. Now, when you're going for a walk with your dog, some of the stuff you might do, you kind of get lazy. What I mean by that is, instead of calling the dog back, you just kind of go on, Waffle, this way. Or you kind of call them back and then you don't insist them coming back. So every time I say, Waffle, come here, or go on the whistle, I expect him to come right back to me here, to the ability of me being able to put the lead on him. He comes back, he stops, handbrake goes on, he's done. If, however, he's just sniffing down there, and I did this on the way up here, that's why I made me think about it, I might give him what I call a this way command. With a spaniel, it's a one peep on the whistle, so it's part of his turn whistle training from his quartering. With a pet dog, it's just he's over there sniffing and the path's turning, or I'm taking a different direction on the path, and I might just go this way, and what that means is I encourage him to catch up with me, and he can keep going past me. It's just to keep that link, and that link between me and the dog, okay? So rather than allowing him to stay down there or insisting that he recalls right back to me, it's a kind of happy balance. And a lot of you probably do it already, but make a conscious effort of making it a different command, okay? This way, or a single peep on the whistle, is not come here. Don't say, Waffle, come here, and allow him to come within a zone of you, and then on the fifth time wonder when you actually want him to come back because you're approaching a gate or the end of the walk or whatever. You're like, why is he not coming back? Because the last 5 or 6 times you've gone, Waffle, come here, you haven't actually asked him to come back. You've asked him to just come into your zone. It's really important. I see this all the time. Now, the other thing we see all the time when we're helping other people with their naughty dogs is when people call their dogs, it's normally because there's a problem. So they wait until there's a problem to call their dog. And what I mean by that, they're walking along and they see a deer or they see another person and they go, oh God, it's going to go wrong. Waffle, Waffle, come here. Now what happens with the dog is smart and it learns this, and it learns as I'm called, right, he never calls me. So they start looking around going, why have I been called? And they're literally looking across the horizon for that problem. They're looking for the deer. They're looking for the other person. They're looking for the other dog. And the owner becomes an indicator to being a problem, because the panic in their voice of, oh God, it's all going to go wrong. Quick, come here, quick, quick. You know, that sort of panic makes the dog go, what are they panicking about? Whoa, what am I missing? And they see something and they're off. Call your dog, call your dog, call your dog, because you can and because you're practicing, so that when you need to call your dog, it's there, it's done. There's no ulterior motive. There's no ulterior motive from the dog. It's just, I've had another recall. I come back. I always come back and then I get let off again. The other thing we see is people come on a nice walk around a field like this and they get within 50 yards of the gate on the way home and they can't get the dog to come back because the dog's kind of like, oh, having quite a lot of fun out here. And the owner's calling them and they're like, oh, just going sniffing in here, and they just avoid them. They keep a distance. And I think I've probably said this before. It's like trying to get my wife or kids away from a party. You know, they see daddy coming and they're like, he's going to ruin our fun. And they all scarper into different corners of the building. Okay, dogs can be exactly the same. So what do we say to people who have that problem? Put your dog on and off the lead half a dozen times during the walk. Call them back loads of times in the walk. So when you get to the end of the walk, it's just another recall. It's just me going on a lead again. It's not a signal that it's all the fun's over. Okay, I hope that all makes sense to you. And I hope it shows it's not all about training, but it is all about training. What it is all about is you get out what you put in. So I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you all again next time. So we're heading home. We're going to pop Waffle back on a lead. He's had a lot of fun, a lot of running around, chasing Freddie, chasing me, trying to jump up at Ian and eat the camera. Waffle, usual Waffle stuff. But before we go back to the kennels, rather than him going back to the kennels kind of slightly wild and slightly crazy, we just pop him on the lead, just calm the whole situation down. So he goes back in the kennels and he goes, had a good time. I'm nice and calm and I'm ready for a snooze. Thanks for watching.